This is Kyle McCord, and you're listening to Austin, Felix, and Matt on the Devy Debate.
Welcome to the Devy Debate. All right, boys. Are we ready to debate? Austin, you tweeted something earlier. You tweeted your running back rankings. Explain yourself.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast. You jumped up and
That's Austin Nace.
Who is going to be that guy? And for me, Bijan Robinson is still going to be that guy.
Back to the ground with Robinson, who spins and then tries to bounce it. A stiff arm, another one as he rides it. Keeps his balance. They're going to say stepped out, but up.
I'm Felix Sharp. I know you didn't think that we would get through this episode without mentioning the name one Zach F. Wilson.
Screener draw. Oh, Wilson is going to uncork for the end zone, and he drops it in beautifully. And it is his roommate Dax Milne on the touchdown.
That's Matt Bruning.
G. Scott Jr. Obviously, I waxed poetic about him on the last episode, so I won't do that again here.
And his stop is Fields on the carry. Watch out! Justin Fields. Hello, Columbus. 51 yards.
Bruning, are you ready to go head-to-head with me?
I am.
Got to get my popcorn out here. Hold on.
Got to continue. I got it. Kyle McCord is going to end up winning the job. He's going to be rated higher.
Well, I'm not nearly as passionate about what I'm about to talk about.
Our apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We'll get him rescheduled soon. And for Matt Bruning and Austin Nace, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck.
It's 9:30 Eastern Time, the only time zone that's mutually pleasurable. That means it's time for the Devy Debate, brought to you by CampusCan.com. That's Matt Bruning, that's Austin Nace, and Chris Moxley, and I'm Felix Sharp. On a laughable version of tonight's show, we cover the ACC, and is there going to be a new offensive coordinator at Miami? But, of course, we start with Mario Williams, who's headed to USC. And Austin Nace, you've been kind of one of the most skeptical about Mario Williams' prospects as a Devy asset, really as a potential NFL player. How do you feel about his landing spot back with Lincoln Riley?
What was that? You're breaking up. I'm just messing with you. Felix didn't think that was funny. It's okay. I did. Felix with the technical difficulties leading up to tonight's show. So
what the heck?
What? I don't know. We're going to ignore Felix. What else is new? I don't have a strong opinion on this either way. I mean, Felix calls me skeptical on Mario Williams. I think he's fine. He's like a tier 3 guy for me. I'm curious to see exactly where he plays there at USC. I feel like him and Gary Bryant are very similar in terms of the areas of the field you want them to work. So, I mean, maybe he doesn't rate Gary Bryant. Maybe we can see Gary Bryant in the portal and go hang out with Michael Trigg, Jackson Dart. So the answer is I don't have a strong opinion on this either way. I feel like a very lateral move to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I actually think, well, shit, it's so hard because I want to say I think Gary Bryant is the guy to roster in USC, especially after the year that he looked like he was going to have last season. But the fact that Mario Williams seems to be kind of like Lincoln Riley's guy is what has me worried a little bit. But it's kind of a meh move for me anyways. Like, if Caleb Williams goes there, I know everybody is super excited about what this team could be, but I feel like we talked a lot about this on last week's episode. Like, we all seem to have very tempered expectations on how good USC is going to be, at least in 2022. So I don't know that Mario Williams has a much better season than what we saw out of him in 2021. So I've been closer to you. I mean, I remember back in is probably week 4 or 5, or maybe even before that, when my ranking of him at like 78 overall or something like that at wide receiver was called out, and I've moved him up to like 50 something. Like I'm not as big on Mario Williams as Felix is either.
You're muted, Chris. Way to get it out of the way early tonight.
That was intentional. It's funny that you compare the role that he and Bryant will have. I actually don't think they're going to overlap much. Mario Williams played the slot 88.8% of the time, or played outside 88.8% of the time last season. And Bryant played the slot 67.6% of the time. I actually think that they're going to put him out wide. And I mean, they have a vacancy there with London moving. I mean, obviously they're not the same player, considering Mario Williams is probably like 6 inches, 7 inches shorter. But I do think they're going to try to play Mario Williams outside. And he was good outside too. So is that the role you really want him in? I'm not sure, but I'm not really worried about him and Gary Bryant playing the same role, considering Lincoln Riley seems fine with him outside. So that's just my hunch about
Is
how
boundary
it's gonna work
is
out.
boundary the best place for him, Mario Williams? Do you think, Chris?
Probably not. At least not the next up. He was fine though. Like, he wasn't bad. He had like a pretty good route running grade. Like, he was able to beat corners fairly consistency. Like, he's 5'9", 185. You probably want him in the slot. And like, he's pretty dynamic and he has great speed and he can beat linebackers fairly easily. So I think you would want him in the slot, ideally, but I don't think that you have an issue playing him outside. I mean, he has like 50% on contested catches last year. Like, I think that's kind of impressive considering how, like, he's, again, 5'9". But I do think you probably want him inside. I thought Oklahoma was going to play him inside. They instead moved Marvin Mims inside, which was surprising to me last season. But I don't know. Maybe I think if they want to break Gary Bryant on the field, that they will play him outside.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. I mean, because Felix wants us to talk about Marvin Mims here in relation to Mario Williams, since they're, some overlap. Matt, let's go to you here first. Who do you prefer now? I mean, we don't necessarily know who Mims's QB is going to be. Is it Jackson Dart? Is it Dylan Gabriel? Is it other? Does that give Williams the edge right now for you?
I don't even really love Marvin Mims either, but I would take Mims actually because he's already done it on the college field. And regardless of what, I mean, obviously, I'd love if it was Jackson Dart who went there. I think that'd be really good for Mims. But even if it's Dylan Gabriel, we've seen him be productive, right, in college. Why is it I always forget what the hell this dude's name is, and it drives me crazy? Offensive coordinator. I have Caleb Ellaby on the mind right now, so I'm very frustrated.
Jeff Lebby.
There we go, Jeff Lebby.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I think if Dylan Gabriel's the quarterback, Marvin Mims is going to be just fine as well. He's I think, likely going to be the guy for Oklahoma, so I'd still take him because I think he's got a better shot of doing something and producing this year than Mario Williams does in that offense.
So I'm not in love with either. Like, I'm not a Mario Williams truther or anything. Like, I know some people like him a lot more than I do, but I thought Mario Williams was just as impressive as Mims was this year. So 12 games versus Mims 13 games. He out-targeted him. He had a higher contested catch rate. He played out wide, I said earlier, 89% of the time. He was a higher graded route runner. Mims had a really great freshman season. But this year he only posted a 19.7% weighted dominator, 1.75 receiving yards per team pass attempt. You're really looking for 20% and over like 2 in your sophomore year. And when I was thinking to his 2020 numbers, he and Theo Wease were the only wide receivers or like passing game options to play more than 9 games. So like, I really wonder if he was just a product of them needing to pass it and having a prolific offense. Because I didn't think he was like anything special, to be totally honest, this year. He played a lot in the slot and had a pretty poor contested catch rate for a guy that has like a 38-inch vertical. So I don't know. I don't have a strong take, but I think I'd rather have Mario Williams, especially if he's going to Lincoln Riley. Like, I'd rather put my hands and all my faith in Lincoln Riley's basket versus I think I like Jeff Lebby, but I'm not ready to do that.
The thing is if Marvin Mims ends up getting that slot receiver role and like Jackson Dart goes there, you're going to end up looking foolish. But the thing, I said this before we started the season, that
Mario Williams could play both inside and out. He could be used vertically. He could run after the catch. He was more versatile than Marvin Mims. And I kind of think that this season proved that because they used Mario Williams and Jadon Hazelwood as kind of the outlet wide receivers on some of these, and Mike Woods for that matter, as the outlet wide receivers on some of these RPOs. They didn't use Marvin Mims that way. They didn't use him as a run after the catch guy. They used him to get down the field. So I think that if this was a poker and we were using the analogy, I would say that Mario Williams has more outs than Marvin Mims does.
What do you think Marvin Mims' 40 time is currently? Because he has a verified 4.67 on his profile, but he was used like his ADOT from all these stats are from PFF, by the way. So I'm not just like pulling these out and trying these games myself. But what do you think his current 40 time is? Because he's being deployed in a downfield role. And like Mario Williams is definitely faster than him. Like he's a verified 4.4 in his resume. So I don't know if Marvin Mims is like a slow, like not slow, but like a 4.5 field stretcher at like 6 foot 175. Is that really a role that I want to be investing in as a like long-term asset?
I was chastised for ranking Mario Williams ahead of Marvin Mims. Chastised on this very program by the people on your screens now. And look, that's why we need Chris Moxley on this show to say, yeah, no, Mario Williams has some skill here, and it's not just me blowing smoke. I have no idea where we are on the show sheet.
I don't know why we're pretending that Mario Williams' freshman season was good.
Yeah, I mean,
it was fine.
You ranked him above Marvin Mims by putting him at like wide receiver 12 before he had ever taken a snap. So that's more why we criticized you, not necessarily.
And I posted that poll today. Well, I don't know what the results were, but Michael Analytics, I don't even know how to say that. I don't know how to say Michael's name, but
say Nelly.
With
that's what everybody calls
Nelly. Yes, Nelly even said that he should be in the top 10. I already had him ranked out for the season because I saw what was to come. When Matthew had him ranked 107, I had him at 12.
It was 70, thank you very much. But I did address that at the beginning of the show when you were having your technical issues.
How did it sound, by the way? Did you hear anything that I said?
I made fun of you. That was it.
We heard you, then you made like weird faces, and we just were like, it's probably best that he left. So
all I heard was want. I was like, oh shoot, did they hear anything that I said?
That's exactly what Austin was saying. So you heard him perfectly.
It's like Snoopy.
That's exactly what I heard, like Snoopy. Yeah. All right, so did we ask, should Mario Williams be ranked, or where should Mario Williams be ranked about amongst wide receivers in C2C and Devy? Did we answer that question?
We said maybe 100-ish, but we didn't settle on an answer. So
I had 70 written down.
You guys
just spitballing.
This is why.
Speaking of which, there was somebody in this room who was criticized by one other person on your screen because he had him at 70.
Whatever, you guys. All right. Would you rather have Matt Bruning answer this question? Would you rather have Mario Williams or Marvin Mims rostered?
I already answered it. I said Marvin Mims.
Well, I wasn't here. I had technical
difficulties. That's not our fault.
You were actually here when I
didn't hear the answer.
I didn't hear what Austin said because my dogs were freaking out. This has been a great show, by the way, everybody. 13 minutes in, we've already had all these issues. So, I heard what Moxley said. I said Marvin Mims just because of I think Dylan Gabriel's produced, and I think that Levy will be able to get the best out of him. So.
We'll give the full story about what happened at the start to the extent you all didn't give it. We'll give it on the after show. All right. Other news here. Brett McMurphy, who is currently Arkansas's offensive coordinator, and either one of you guys jump in here. He's been offered the job at Miami. I think that we can now exclude Joe Brady, who had been rumored to be a candidate for Miami. They are offering that job to Brett McMurphy. So you think about the running backs, Rocket Sanders and A.J. Green and Dominic Johnson and Traylon Smith, who just entered the transfer portal, and K.J. Jefferson and Traylon Burks. I mean, putting together those pieces, Brett McMurphy has been at the helm of that. Austin, what would this mean for Tyler Van Dyke and company?
Riles is pretty versatile coordinator. Like he'll kind of adapt his system. Like I don't think he necessarily wants to rotate, 80 backs and necessarily just run the ball 50 times a game. I think that's kind of what he did at Arkansas because that's what they had outside of Treylon Burks. There wasn't a lot of other options there in the passing game, and you don't necessarily want KJ Jefferson with the ball in his hands 40 times a game anyway. He was Houston's offensive coordinator for a year. They were very pass heavy there. Other stops. I mean, he was at Florida State for a couple of years. I believe they were, fairly balanced attack. So I think he'll just kind of take what they have there and mold it into what their strengths are, which I do think is going to be the passing game. I just don't trust any of their running backs on like a grand scale. Like Jalen Knighton had a pretty good year last year, but a lot of his production was receiving production. And they did bring in a Parrish from Ole Miss, who's like a decent
Parrish
back,
and Frank Ladson is coming in there.
Yeah, Frank Ladson. I think we already know that Frank Ladson's bad at football. Like he's just not a good football player. So I mean, the strength of that team is going to be Tyler Van Dyke, Jalen Knighton in the receiving game, and then I still don't quite know who's going to be the main target there. I'm going all in on Romello Brinson here because he's just so cheap. I think people are going to be buying Frank Ladson, and that's going to be bad. Don't do that.
Well, Austin, you tweeted December 31st, 2021, if you believe in Tyler Van Dyke for your CFF leagues. And this is on the show sheet. Like, you're going to look. You believe in Tyler Van Dyke for your CFF leagues in 2022, then you should believe in his weapons too. I'm starting the hype train for Romello Brinson. Romello Brinson, a 4-star prospect, 6'2", 185. Got some playing time at times in the season. But if you look at their roster, Mike Hartley out, Charleston Rambo out. Those were their 2 leading receivers. Will Mallory, the tight end, was the 3rd leading receiver. He is back. Jalen Knighton is kind of a do-it-all back. He's back. Don Chaney got hurt in the middle of the season. He's kind of a 2-down back. He's back. Keyshawn Smith, I think, was their 4th leading receiver. He was a freshman last year. And we expect big things. I think we expect big things from Elijah Arroyo. I know I have the tight end Elijah Arroyo ranked very highly in my rankings. And if they're going to throw the ball all over the place, listen, either Chris Moxley, either somebody is going to emerge here in this offense or Tyler Van Dyke is going to fall flat on his face. It's got to be one of the two.
Probably. I think it could be like this year's iteration of Will Rogers throwing like 5 receivers, 700 yards. Bryle's system is really like it's the Baylor system. It's what he ran at FAU with Lane Kiffin. Like he works with what he has really well. Like Austin said, like he made Treylon Burks work. Like KJ Jefferson cannot run the Baylor system, but like that's what you're going to see when he goes there because Tyler Van Dyke can. And so I think it's actually not a crazy transition from Rhett Lashley to this new system, right? And so this is all hypothetical because there's rumors that Bryles is just really leveraging this for a pay raise at Arkansas, but their systems are that different. And so I'm expecting probably someone to emerge, but it could very well just be like this year's version of Mississippi State where like nobody really does, but Mekhi Polk leads the offense. So like, I wish I had a stronger take because I'm feeling like Austin over here now.
We're gonna have to get Chris Moxley a lukewarm take segment. Austin, if we were in supplemental drafts coming up and Romello Brinson is already rostered, generally your supplemental draft are 15 picks. What pick would you trade to acquire Romello Brinson?
Well, I wouldn't because I already have Romello Brinson in all my rosters. So I'm just giving the advice to everyone in my leagues right now. To get him from me, I think you'd need a top 36 pick. Just because after that, it's pretty speculative. We're doing a 10-rounder right now. Are we all in that one together? Matt is, right? Or Alfred is, PJ,
I don't
me?
believe so.
Okay. I'm doing one right now. And after round 3, round 4, it's I don't want to say it's slim pickings. I mean, I like the guys I'm taking, but it's not somebody that I can project into probably a starting spot at Miami this year. You're probably waiting a year. So I think it would have to be higher than that. And at that point, it's not worth it. Like if you just have Romello Brinson, you may have struck gold in a league and you just sit on that for right now.
Matthew, are you targeting pieces of this Miami offense other than Tyler Van Dyke? Because other than Tyler Van Dyke, there's not anyone. Maybe Keyshawn Smith is the next player who's kind of has some value associated with his name. But if we went and did a startup through 30 rounds, and Jalen Knighton through 30 rounds, those might be the only guys taken. So are you targeting this offense?
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Knighton was going to be the guy that I mentioned because he played really good at the back half of last year, too. I think if he's given the shot to be the guy, he should produce very well. I mean, outside of him, I mean, maybe Mallory. I don't know. I don't really I'm not sold on Tyler Van Dyke the way you are. I don't know that Miami is going to be any good, to be honest with you. So, I mean, Knighton is the guy for sure that I'd bet on. Van Dyke, I think he'll be okay, but most of the leagues I'm in with you, so I'm not getting him because I'm definitely not taking him where you're taking him. So that's about it for me. It's Knighton.
I didn't say I was sold on. I mean, you guys know how humble I am and how I don't like saying "I told you so." It's just that with Tyler Van Dyke,
can we stage a walkout?
I said back in July that he would be the next Joe Burrow. I mean, well, I was wrong because he didn't have to transfer. All right, let's move on here to Caleb Williams. The reports are, according to 24/7, I think from Brad Crawford of 24/7 Sports, wrote something a little bit earlier today that Caleb Williams is going to make his decision soon and that the primary motivation is preparing him for the NFL, not NIL. I think the speculation early on was he wasn't going to Georgia because they weren't offering him enough money. Well, Brett Crawford spoke to Carl Williams, Caleb Williams' father, and the family is all about getting Caleb Williams ready for the NFL. Well, I mean, Chris Moxley, if we're talking about getting a quarterback ready for the NFL, I mean, it seems like Lincoln Riley is that answer. Why is there this hesitation to get Caleb Williams committed? I mean, is there any reason to doubt that Lincoln Riley offers a quarterback the best preparation for the NFL?
So Carl Williams is like Joe Jackson of the football world. Like Jackson 5 Joe Jackson.
Well, I thought we were talking shoeless.
No. So like he's orchestrated this entire plot around Caleb Williams. And like they are not messing around with their recruitment. So like way back in the day, a couple of years ago, he had said, if Oklahoma does not offer Caleb a scholarship, he will walk on and challenge for the starting job no matter what. I'd be surprised if he didn't maintain that because of Lincoln Riley, that he does go to USC. And whatever they do, I really believe that it is very calculated. There's no emotion involved in here. They are dead serious when they say that. And I don't know if NIL really matters because I think they believe that they are first overall pick money and not like 20th overall pick money, which means the NIL probably doesn't really matter at that point. If you believe that going to Lincoln Riley or going to whoever is going to secure you that top 5 selection. And I think that's absolutely fair, but his dad is really the one who has the final say here. Like, I don't think Caleb Williams really has much say in this process based on what we've seen. It's so easy to say that it's not about, if I couldn't get a scholarship at Oklahoma, I would have walked on as you're sitting there with the scholarship offer and you have the letter sitting in front of you. Like, I think this was prior. No shit. Of course he said that. To be fair, it was prior to the offer. I will defend that.
Matt Bruning, we are the only ones that have Caleb Williams ranked number 1 ahead of Bryce Young in our rankings. I mean, the last I looked, you also had Caleb Williams number 1. Do you think that he is a potential? while Matthew is mouthing the words "wow" because he doesn't like to be in accord with me. So, but
it's more agree? Of I realized I must not have updated my rankings anytime soon, and that's a big whoopsies because I told Colin to do it tonight, and I have yet to get to that. No, he is not my number 1 quarterback. Bryce Young is. So I apologize.
Do you think that, Bryce Young is class of 2023, Caleb Williams class of 2024. Do you think that he is a potential number 1 overall draft pick?
Yes, I do think he ends up with Lincoln Riley. I don't really understand any of this stuff going on. I honestly don't care either. I do think he ends up the only other place he goes. I think at that point, if that's all they really care about is being a first-round draft pick, is going to be with Lane Kiffin. And either way, I think Lane Kiffin can get him to be the overall number 1 draft pick with the skill set that he has, and if he continues to develop on the way that we saw him developing last year at Oklahoma, I would not be surprised if he is the number 1 pick, and I think he has the ability to be that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Caleb Williams needs to develop in as far as the timing aspect of his game, because he says set hut and he immediately goes into I'm about to play backyard football. Now, he is athletic enough to do that, but in order to be an efficient quarterback, he has to develop the strength to hit the timing routes, take the open man, not throw everything deep. So that's one thing that we need to see from year 1 to year 2. Listen, remember where we were this time last year with DJ Uiagalelei. I mean, obviously the number 1 quarterback. I just did my rankings today. I couldn't drop him low enough. He's in the 20s at least for me. I don't know that we'll see that with Caleb Williams because he has the dual threat and aggressive ability, but it's not out of the question. It's not out of the question. All right.
Is there a coach that has gotten a more undeserved reputation as a quarterback whisperer than Lane Kiffin? The players that he coached, so he did 2 spells at USC. He was at Tennessee for a little bit. I won't blame him for Tennessee at all. And then he was in the swamp of Florida. The quarterbacks that he worked with at USC were like John David Booty, Matt Barkley, Mark Sanchez, like guys that did basically. I mean, Sanchez had like a year or 2, but like these guys did nothing in the NFL.
But
we're supposed to believe that, like, everyone's like, oh, he's going to go to Lane Kiffin and he's going to coach him up and teach him how to go to the NFL. It's like, okay, if his goal is just to get there, sure. But like, if his goal is to be good there, then I don't think I'm going to Lane Kiffin for anything.
I mean, they all got drafted fairly highly, though. So I can't say. I mean, you want to say that? I mean, I'll go.
Sanchez did. One guy. David Booty went in the 6th. And Barkley went in the 5th or 6th.
Ryan Day. Just,
more undeserved?
Well, he can't because Kyle
though.
McCord is going to start there. So Caleb Williams can't start over Kyle McCord.
We can't see what that says.
And Chris Moxley, hold the sign up again.
Hey, I made it 6 whole days.
Days on Ohio State song. 6.
Is that like
Chris Moxley bringing the props? You got to watch this show on
Is that
YouTube.
6 weeks worth though? So is that 6 weeks worth of not mentioning Ohio State, or is that just like six shows? That's still 6 weeks.
That's 6 days since our last show.
0.
6 days.
It's been 6 days since our last show.
I didn't talk about Ohio State last week, did I?
You always do.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
I mean, it's not like I've said a good thing about it. I said a bad thing.
I made a whiteboard for it. Do you think that this is not something that comes up weekly?
No, I mean, I think we all pull a lot of shit out of our ass. So I don't know if you just pulled that up. I don't know.
It's housekeeping time, Austin. I don't know if we should leave you with the responsibility of housekeeping because you are not whipping the people into shape. Like I was thinking if we should give the responsibility to Chris Moxley or Matt Bruning. Matt can be emotional about things.
Has anybody gotten a more undeserved reputation as a good housekeeping announcer than me? Anybody ever? Have you seen what he's produced over this time doing this? It's terrible. It's terrible. It's worse than your quarterbacks.
Your bad cop is so nice. I mean, he probably would let people off with like a ticket or something like that. But I mean, all right, Austin. It's housekeeping time.
Oh, I do still have to do it. I thought I could get out of it if I did that.
I mean, does anyone want to volunteer?
Self-deprecating.
Who can bring a bad cop and whip the people into shape and get them to do what we need them to do? Austin, what we need them to do is go to the YouTube page and subscribe. We need them to write a 5-star rating review of this podcast so we can grow the show.
What else? Taking notes. Keep going.
Subscribe to the website. It's campus2canton.com. Listen, we out here, okay? We out here. The format continues to grow. And if you aren't playing in Campus to Canton leagues, then you're doing it wrong. And we are the only website out there that has, I mean, I just did my quarterback rankings. It was 90 deep. It did not even include the freshmen. Where I'm going to rank Devin Brown in the top 10, and I'm going to rank Drew Aller in the top 10. I think that those are the only 2.
Where are you going to rank Quinn Ewers? I'm just curious.
It's really it really is an interesting conundrum because Quinn Ewers like I have a problem with him in my freshman rankings, but in my overall rankings, he has to be like rated high, and I don't know how to deal with that dichotomy. And then I'm going to get called out by Austin. Well, if you have him ranked this one, that means that you would pick him number whatever overall. I'm like, no, I don't really mean that. So I don't know what I'm going to listen. Stop distracting me. The people need to. All right. Last week, Austin did this. We got 0 reviews, no subscribers to the YouTube page. I want to be better than highfalutin Austin. I need at least 2 reviews of the show, Devy Debate, 2 5-star reviews, rate and review the show. And I need at least, I think we're almost at 400 subscribers for the YouTube page. I need to get to 400 by next week. And I need 5 subscribers to the website. If you have not subscribed, if you're listening to this and you have not subscribed to the website, I will travel to where you live and punch you in the face if you do not subscribe to the website. That's how you bad cop.
That's good.
Austin.
That's good.
And
Okay,
Austin's
I got notes. Copious.
Go ahead, Chris Moxley. Are you going to add something? You get it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that if you added maggots at the end there, would have been perfect. There was not enough insults, I don't think. So next time when Austin does it, maggots is a good one. Low life, whatever, fill in the blank.
That's mean though.
I want please tweet at Devy Debate. And please tell me if you can tell the difference between Austin. Actually, Chris Moxley, please tweet it out. Oh, you don't have the Devy Debate handle. Please tweet it out. Can you tell the difference between between Austin Nace's good cop and bad cop? I'll tweet it out as soon as we get to a break. All right. Let's move on. Where are we moving on to? We are moving to our looks forward, our early looks forward to the conferences. We started earlier on, I think, with the SEC, and then we had the bowl games and the conference champions, the national championship, and so we were moving on to the ACC. Matt, we'll start here with potential breakouts. So we're covering the ACC plus Notre Dame. Who is your potential breakout candidate for the ACC?
First of all, I'd just like to address the comment in the chat. You are 100% correct, Delaney. See, here's the thing. Felix just yells at you like an angry mom. Austin comes in as like the disappointed dad, and we all know that hurts 10 times more. Disappointed dad more than mad mom. Anyways, on to the breakouts. I went with Dion Colsey for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. 6'3", 200, nice little size speed specimen. He will be a sophomore. Kevin Austin, Braden Lindsay, and Avery Davis, I believe, are all leaving. They were the top 3 receiving options, obviously outside of Michael Mayer, for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Styles is likely projected to get one of those spots, and I know Austin is very high on him after seeing what he did in the bowl game. But that still leaves another spot open, and I think Colsey is going to get that. He can be a deep threat. He tracks the ball very well. He has track speed. He averaged 16.8 yards a play last year, was highest on the team outside of Austin. His ADOT was 14.9, which was the highest on the team last year. Now, I am 100% assuming that this team will open up the offense like we saw in the bowl game. If they don't, this is going to be a horrible call. But if they do open up the offense, I think that Colsey can get enough targets to kind of, break out and have a very good year. Obviously, you've got Michael Mayer there who's going to eat a ton of the targets, and then Tyree, who I think is probably going to get a fair amount of receptions as well. But I think Buchner, whatever we call him, is going to take over as quarterback, and they're going to sling the rock a little bit more, and Colsey is going to benefit.
We should probably talk more about who's going to start at Notre Dame when we get to the Devy debates. All right. Austin, you are next. Who is a potential breakout in this conference?
I just want to say real quick, Matt, it hurts that apparently you haven't listened to a single show that I've been on in the past week. Notre Dame doesn't have to open up the offense. Last year, 27th in the country in total pass attempts and 31st in the country in pass attempts per game. They don't need to open it up more. The door is already open, Mr.
Can I ask a question? What shows?
Yes.
What shows?
I went on Dynasty Kings with Mike Valeri, one of the guys at the site, and talked about it on Campus Life one of the last 2 weeks as well. So
It wasn't this week because I listened very intently to this week's episode, so it must have been last week's, and I forget what happened like 2 days ago. So apologies for that.
So just to throw that out there. So I almost chose Lorenzo Styles, but have talked about him ad nauseum recently. So I'm going to talk Israel Abanikanda, my Pitt guy. Hail to Pitt. New offensive coordinator in a Pitt this year. They lose Whipple. He's going to Nebraska to hang out with Scott Frost for a year before Frost gets fired. Maybe he wants to be the next head coach there, and he's angling for that. I don't know. But in comes the offensive coordinator from Boston College for the past 2 years, a guy that has been around the NFL as well as an offensive coordinator and a quarterback coach. But he runs the ball. Boston College ran the ball 56 most in the country last year. And of the 376 actual running backfield touches they gave, Pat Garwo, their leading rusher, got almost 60% of those. Pitt's leading rusher, on the other hand, last year, in terms of pure volume, got 34% of those running back touches. This guy likes to consolidate the running back touches a little bit, and I think that's going to mean that Israel Abanikanda is the guy there. This year was their most efficient runner, their most explosive runner. Had highest yards per carry, outperformed all of his teammates in that regard. Had the most touchdowns on the team, and he caught 24 passes as well. This guy is a bell cow running back waiting to happen. Whipple just refused to use him that way. They get a guy in here who's going to use him like that. 1,400 all-purpose yards and 12 to 15 touchdowns is not outside the realm of possibility for this team. And I think the offense is still going to be very good at Pitt next year, even without Kenny Pickett.
Look at that. I mean, we go from hijinks to hardcore analysis with Austin. I mean, how can you not rate this show? Give it 5 stars. All right, Chris Moxley, who is your potential breakout in the ACC in 2022?
So the reason that I have this person as a breakout is because their ADP is way too low, and so we gotta let the people know about A.T. Perry, Wake Forest wide receiver, posted 1,215 this season, 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns on a 31.8% weighted dominator, 2.49 yards per team pass attempt. He's going as wide receiver 43, which is 136 overall in Campus Can ADP from December. Like, Jakari Roberson has left. Sam Hartman is returning. He's currently going behind Jadon Hazelwood, Roma Dunze, Damon Damas, Jordan Whittington. This guy can realistically post 1,500 and the same number of touchdowns or more. I think he's a top 5-6 wide receiver, and like in CFF next year. Like, I think he's a pretty good player. Like, I think he could get drafted by the NFL as well. But he's a guy that's just going way too late in drafts. Like, I think he's going to have a monster season, and people are going to be. Not a lot of people are going to see it coming based on his ADP.
I was trying to look it up here, and I couldn't, but Wake Forest has had a very good history of producing players as far as people who produce in college. Now, they don't always translate to the NFL. I swear there was a white guy, a white wide receiver, 5-6 years ago that people were high on. I cannot remember his name.
Greg Dortch.
Just said it.
Greg Dortch is black, but even before Greg Dortch,
who was it?
again, a white guy, but
There's
they've
another
always
slot guy.
produced.
Yeah.
Sorry,
There's a
Felix.
slot
Some of us don't see color on this show, so apologies on that.
Okay, we'll just look up Wake Forest wide receivers, but they have produced. Chris Moxley, I kind of disagree with you as far as the NFL potential for A.T. Perry. He drops entirely too many passes, and quite frankly,
like day 3, like round 5, 6, 7. Like, I don't think he's going in 2, but I think he can get drafted.
I put anybody in that round 6, 7 range, but I don't think that offense itself lends itself to potential NFL production. I don't believe in Sam Hartman. I didn't believe in Jamie Newman as an NFL asset. I mean, the best NFL asset that's going to come out of there is Kenneth Walker. So it's just because of, they got these long mesh points that suck up linebackers. It's almost like it's the same reason why Eric Crouch for those who are old enough to remember. So, Austin, Eric Crouch was this quarterback at Nebraska. Nebraska ran triple option. He won the Heisman, but he wasn't an NFL player. I think he got drafted by the Rams as a wide receiver because you can't run the triple option and then play. That's what I think of with Wake Forest is they kind of have a gimmicky offense. So I don't know that it lends itself to the potential for the NFL. My potential breakout candidate is one Zach Gibson. Now, I've tweeted a little bit about Zach Gibson. I think he's a third-year freshman. He was a freshman at Akron this past season. He has since transferred to Georgia Tech. Now, he's going to have to beat out Jeff Sims for this job, but he is a player who moves well in the pocket, and he was aggressive. I liked the fact that he was with Akron and that he could potentially develop with Konate Mumfield. They could develop together. Konate Mumfield was also a freshman. I don't know what he's going to look like at Georgia Tech. I mean, I liked him as a G5 guy. So anyway, but we need to alert people that Zach Gibson transferred to Georgia Tech. There's one other name that I want to bring up, and this is one of Colin Decker's favorite players last season. It wasn't?
That means he probably sucks. No, continue. It was, yeah. He's not here, but I would say it even if he was. So
no, it was one of Colin Decker's guys at NC State, Aaron McLaughlin. Now, I always talk about players checking boxes. Aaron McLaughlin is 6'5", 220 pounds, is woefully inaccurate. I think they've even talked about him on the Campus Visit podcast. And Adam Lewis, a friend of the show, has talked about him. And Devin Leary is there at NC State and was very, very good. So Aaron McLaughlin is not going to start in 2022, but it's a name to keep tabs on, especially if you're in C2Cs, because you get to the 40th round in a startup. You got to have somebody who's going to potentially start. You got to have somebody who could if you could turn somebody into a potential NFL draft pick that you pick in the 40th round, I mean, you're going to have equity in your NFL team eventually. So Aaron McLaughlin is a name to keep tabs on, but he's not my candidate for this particular category. All right. Matt Bruning, let's move to comeback player of the year in the ACC. Let me start with you. You don't have a name here on the show sheet, so I'm wondering if you just looked this up and figured out. Oh no,
Austin's raising his hand.
We want to know who the Wake Forest guy.
Michael Campanaro. Yes, okay. That's who it was. Michael Campanaro. That was the receiver from Wake Forest.
So, like the layup here is DJU, right? Like that's the guy who I feel like. What's wrong?
The fuck, man? That's what I put on the sheet.
Oh, is it? I didn't look at the sheet. I'm sorry. I don't do. I'm just kidding.
Because I gave you the sheet hours ago.
I'm kidding. It's Keaton Slovis. I mean, Austin, you just mentioned they're getting what? Let's realistically think about it. Frank,
he's
Moxley looks intrigued.
He's lying.
So
he just came off that with the top of his head.
Really? You think so? Because why not? 81.1 QBR as a freshman would be the fourth highest QBR score in this class right now, behind Young and Stroud, and only 0.1 point behind Spencer Rattler. Whipple leaving Pitt does hurt a little bit, as Austin just mentioned a little bit ago with Israel Ababakanda, but Frank Signati Jr. coming in, he is a quarterbacks coach. He has been a quarterback coach in the NFL and in college, so I do think he can help Keaton Slovis there a little bit. He's got Konate Mumfield coming, Jordan Addison. Like, I like how you think I'm slick. I actually did put Keaton Slovis. I can show you the sheet. Like, I just pull all this out of my ass. I'm not that smart. I think Slovis rebounds his stock here in a major way. I don't know that he'll ever be that first-round pick that a lot of people talked about him being as a freshman, but I do think he could rebound it, especially if he doesn't leave after this season. If he stays one more year, uses that COVID designation to get another season in at Pitt, and has a Kenny Pickett-esque rise, I think it would be good. Also should mention he had a total EPA of 185, which is third behind Young and Stroud. So I don't know that he ever gets back to what we thought he was going to be as a freshman, but I do think Keaton Slovis can rebound. I can't read what your whiteboard says. Keaton Slovis, why not? Exactly. Why not?
You got to watch the live show.
What a
Chris
salesman.
Moxley, he has the props. Austin, you had some retort to Matt Bruning's take.
No, I just thought he was hilarious. And he was like, watch this. Why not? Like, I don't know if that was the best sales job.
I mean, there was really. I mean, I feel like I sold it with the QBR, the EPA. He's got the weapons, and Addison and Mumfield. Like, I mean, they're really not.
I mean, and he can completely change his. We have how many months? We have 9 months until college football starts. I mean, he can completely change his answer. All right, Austin, why don't you give us yours?
So my answer, as Matt so eloquently already stated, was DJU. No, I'm just kidding. DJU sucks and will always suck. My comeback player of the year, Lavelle Davis Jr. at Virginia, I think is a guy that has just been completely forgotten about. And first off, I don't think Lavelle Davis is an NFL player at all, but I don't necessarily think that matters for this, what like that award would be. Lavelle Davis, as a true freshman in 2020 there at Virginia, 20 catches, 515 yards, 5 touchdowns, was pretty much their explosive downfield threat, and was really, their leading receiver in terms of, what defenses were scheming around. The hang up on Lavelle Davis, for those that aren't familiar with him, is he's like 6'7", 210. He's a giant. He's basically he's kind of like Kyle Pitts, but like really scrawny and plays outside and isn't physical at all and isn't going to play in the NFL. So nothing like Kyle Pitts. But like, that's kind of the player that he's like. And Virginia throws the ball a ton with Brendan Armstrong there. They bring him back. They do bring back, who the heck's their leading receiver from last year? Wicks. But I mean, I think there's space alongside him for somebody to put up a decent year. And there aren't that many candidates. I actually really struggled to think of somebody as I was doing this one. So Lavelle Davis fits the bill, I suppose.
Really quick, Luke, you're 100% correct, man. Behind every successful man is a very, I don't know how that saying goes, a woman. So you're some woman. I don't remember how the saying
Your
goes.
wife could probably come up with it though.
You're going to get canceled.
She's gonna, my wife knows the saying. I don't know what the saying is. Behind every successful man is because we're much woman. Better and more successful women. There we go, Moxley. Thank you. I don't know how the saying goes. I'm horrible with sayings because we are not as good as women. That was my whole point. And his girlfriend is there.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're going to mention
so she can help drive him. That was my only point.
If we're going to mention everyone on Virginia's team, we need to mention Jelani Woods, a transfer from Pitt. Was it Pitt or Florida? I don't know where. I can't remember where Jelani Woods transferred from, but he is a big athletic target, and I think that his draft eligibility, or excuse me, his college eligibility was up, and so he might be draft eligible. Regardless, he was very productive.
He declared.
Declared. Okay. Yeah. He declared, and he's not at the Senior Bowl, but someone that you should pay attention to, Jelani Woods. I actually tried to trade for him late in the season. I just think that he has the potential to be, a very good player, especially at tight end where you kind of got to take some shots. All right. Let's move on here to who's next.
Does Chris Moxley do his comeback play? Yeah.
Man, I'm not going deep at all. I'm giving really obvious names. Sorry. I think Phil Dracovic has a really good year next year. He ended the season with 0.7 EPA per play, which was higher than any season of any draft eligible quarterback this year. He also had 84.9 QBR, which was second highest for any draft eligible quarterback. And that is like every draft eligible quarterback's season leading up to the year. So all 5 of Kenny Pickett's years, all 4 of Matt Corral's years, all 3 of Sam Howell's years, right? Like, his 2020, even though it was 2021, even though it was a limited sample, was like really good. And a lot of that had to do with him opening up the rushing game. I'm really excited to see what he does in 2022 that now that he'll be healthy and say Flowers comes back. I think he could be like a really solid player. And he had an injury, so he didn't play enough games. I think that's like a comeback player. Like this is like a ripe comeback player story.
All right. Chris Moxley. Pulling right off the top of the heap there. All right. So, all right, let's move on here to the freshman that we think could potentially break out. Matt Bruning, you have nothing on the show sheet here. So,
of course,
very interested to hear your
I like
answer.
Suspense. I like to build suspense. I really could not find one that's not obvious. So I just went with I went with Antonio Martin, running back going to Georgia Tech. I mean, I was just trying to, why not? why not? Why can't he succeed, right? He listed at 5'11", 205, as I mentioned, joining Georgia Tech. With, in my opinion, not much really there in the backfield now with Jahmyr Gibbs gone. He's got great contact balance. Some of that, though, I think is likely due to the fact that he was much bigger than some of the competition he was facing. He has some speed, however, even though his nickname is Mr. House Call, I do not think he's going to be taking a lot of those runs to the house at Georgia Tech. I don't think he's quite as fast as it shows on there. Again, competition lacking a little bit. He's not going to be burning college defenders to the end zone like he was there, but he does run with good patience. He is a bruising type running back. They do have Dante Smith and Jordan Yates, who both did get a lot of carries. However, outside of Jahmyr Gibbs, the other two running backs got a 70 and 50 carries. So I think even if they employ all three of them again, I think Martin could end up being the best of them. He's got the best size, I think, and at the end of the day could end up putting up some pretty decent points for them. So I think overall Antonio Martin could have a very good season for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Is that right? Yellow Jackets? I'm not mixing up the mascot there.
I could not. I can't believe we got that through that analysis without you saying that he had good vision. I was going to tell Austin that he owes me $20, but no,
his vision is questionable, so I'm not going to say he's good vision.
Well, I like Antonio Martin also. And for those, I mean, I know that there are a lot of people listening to this who haven't studied the freshman. Antonio Martin, to me, is an explosive bowling ball type, and they actually have two freshmen coming in, two, I think, 4-star rated prospects coming into Georgia Tech. One is Antonio Martin. The other is Jamie Felix, I believe. The same last name as mine. I liken Antonio Martin to a Jacquez Rogers type. You think about these bowling balls that have good context balance because they're so thick in the lower half. I think that he's that type of player. I wish that I could rank him higher. However, you look at his high school production, and it's not elite. He does not have elite high school production. Otherwise, I would be ranking him higher. But I do like the call of Antonio Martin. I like his play style. I wish I could rank him higher, but he wasn't, that great of a high school producer. All right. Austin Nace, who you got as far as a freshman that could have an impact in the ACC this year?
And just to give the opposite opinion of that, Antonio Martin is my RB52 in the class, and I have Jamie Felix labeled as do not draft. So those are my rankings of the Georgia Tech running backs coming in, and they do.
How's that opposite? How's that opposite? I said I prefer Martin to Felix.
I don't like either of them. Sorry. They do bring in Hassan Hall from Louisville as well. Just another name that's going to be there in the backfield. Not that he's ever done much, but just another body to overcome. So I purposely didn't put my answer on there because I thought it would mess up the fact that I put DJU on the prior answer, because I think Cade Klubnik takes his job this year, and Cade Klubnik is who I put down as a freshman here in the ACC. The freshman wide receiver, freshman quarterback going to Clemson there. I was pretty skeptical on him early on, but Alan True has really kind of turned me around on him. He said that he thought, basically the book on Cade Klubnik, when I watched him the first time, he's kind of just this scrawny little dude back there. Doesn't look like he has an overpowering arm. He doesn't look like he's a particularly creative passer in a day and age where if you can't either outrun defenders or sidearm and all sorts of different crazy arm slots, you probably aren't gonna make it to the NFL. But Alan said that when he saw Cade Klubnik play in person for the first time is when he finally got it. Like, he just looks much more impressive in person. The ball looks like it has a little more zip, a little more explodes a little more out of his hand. So I'm going to trust his judgment on that. And then he went to the Senior Bowl, and I don't really move these guys around too much based on that, but he looked pretty good in a setting that isn't necessarily set up to make quarterbacks look good, like an all-star game where you don't really have a lot of time to, build a rapport with your receivers. So he really, really impressed me. I think he can go to Clemson. I think DJU does not recover this year. I think Georgia broke him more or less, plus, and it never improved. So I think Klubnik has that job by week 8, with really nobody else there on the depth chart. So that's my incoming freshman.
Yeah, I like it. Sorry, I had to take myself off mute there. All right, ACC conference with a lot of firepower. Chris Moxley, I like your answer, but we're going to have to talk about that depth chart overall. So why don't you give us yours?
Yeah, I like George Pettaway. He's heading to North Carolina this year. I think he's a guy who could immediately seize a role. So he actually had a lot of interesting offers and chose UNC. Bama offered him, Michigan offered him, Florida offered him, Penn State, Auburn, Oregon. He was down to, I believe, Florida, Oregon, Penn State, and UNC. Yeah, before choosing the Tar Heels. He also has a frame to add weight. So he's not like super big right now, but I think he can get up to like 205. And he's already a pretty decent pass catcher. So like it's not amazing, but he's like pretty good and good enough, I think, to do at least operate in that role early. And I think he's a pretty willing pass blocker. He needs to add a little bit of strength, but I think that will come with like improving his frame. That is not a depth chart that I'm particularly scared off of either. So they have Ty Chandler, this was his last year of eligibility. DJ Jones, who caught 12 passes for them last year. The only other running back that caught a pass. He's a junior heading into 2021. So I'm 2022. I'm operating as if he's going to be like probably the main guy. I'm not scared of British Brooks. I'm not scared of Caleb Hood. I'm not scared of Elijah Green. I'm not scared of Josh Henderson. Kamaro Edmonds couldn't get even on the field last year. I think that between the 4 backs that they've recruited in the last 2 cycles, George Pettaway is my favorite. And so I think he is the best of those 4. And I think he's someone who can move into maybe like a 1B role halfway through the season. And like, I think that's going to be good enough to get him on radars pretty quick. Cause I think he's a good player and he's a really patient runner. And I think he has physical tools to allow himself, like if he does bulk up to like be a really interesting player too. Like I'm really high on him. Like I'm higher than I think most are. I know Austin really likes him as well, but I'm really excited for him at North Carolina because they've recruited really well too on the offensive line. So I think that he can excel there.
I like George Pettaway too. And there was something about Pettaway's running style that reminded me of Aaron Jones, not Aaron Jones with the Green Bay Packers, but Aaron Jones at UTEP. And I am making that distinction, kind of a skinny, darting, physical runner. I don't know. There's something about him that reminded it. But we have to talk about Amarian Hampton, who was the North Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year after running for 2,600 yards, who has ideal size, who can truck players, but he just is not the athlete that you all want. I'm sorry. Matt Bruning is shaking his head. Austin Nace is sitting there looking all, skeptical of Amarian Hampton. But Amarian Hampton is in the Javonte Williams mold. And we know how schools like to recruit similar style players. And if there was a Javonte Williams in this class, it would be Amarian Hampton. So, and all 3 of these jamokes here are looking at me with skeptical looks. So that's fine. I'll just bookmark this episode and we'll come back around, and I will be getting apologies from you after he runs for.
I'm sure you will victory lap him when he gets like the best YPA and the ACC, like Mayan Williams did in the Big Ten.
No.
With his
I'm very humble.
yards rushing.
I'm very humble. I hate saying I told you so. I hate saying I told you so. I don't like tooting my own horn.
And we appreciate that about you. We really do. We really do.
Well, I will say that I just went to look up the last several North Carolina Gatorade Players of the Year to rub it in Felix's face, and one of them was Will Shipley, and one of them was Sam Howell. So I kind of torpedoed that argument that I was going to try to make. Full disclosure.
I don't think that Pettaway and Hampton are in the same. Like, I don't think they're close personally. Like, I think Pettaway's so like a much better player in a lot of different aspects.
Oh my goodness! What year of our Lord? What is it? What's today's date? What is today's date?
Dyke.
It's
the 19th,
January 19th, 10:31. Somebody bookmark this so we can play this later on. What did you say, Chris? Say it again. Say it again for the people.
They're not in the same tier of players for me. Like, they're not close.
Correct.
I honestly think you're the only one at the site, Felix, that has Pettaway.
David likes him too, I think. But
I think Pettaway. No, he likes Hampton. No, he likes Pettaway.
He prefers Pettaway. I say he likes Hampton. But
he prefers Pettaway though. Everybody prefers Pettaway except for Felix, and technically There's another person.
I just wanted to get Chris Moxley on record in a very clear audio so we can play it later on. All right. I think that is it for the freshman. It is. All right, boys. I haven't said this in a long time. Are we ready for the Devy debates?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Everyone else is sat there.
Bring them on. Bring them on.
Oh, my goodness. When I say, are we ready for the Devy debates, it's you guys' job to respond and enthusiastically and say, yes, we're
We were
ready.
just following Austin's, lukewarm cop and just been like, let's do this, guys. Let's do it.
Well, fine.
Gee,
Matt Bruning, you're going to start with this answer first. Is there a better quarterback in the ACC than one Tyler Van Dyke?
Yes, Phil Dracovic. That's all I needed to say. Phil Dracovic. No, that's it. I've got nothing else to say.
Anyone care to jump in? Is he right, Austin? Austin's shaking his head.
I would prefer Tyler Van Dyke, I think. I don't like Phil Dracovic that much. I think he's overrated. Now, I'm trying not to be clouded too much by the shell of a player that he was at the end of the year when they clearly rushed him back for no reason because Boston College, they wanted to finish above 500. So I mean, I might be, a little affected by that, but I just don't think Phil Dracovic is that good. I've never watched him and thought that he's particularly accurate, that he's particularly great at pushing the ball downfield, that he's, particularly, he's mobile enough. He's a guy that I'm going to be fine taking in the third round of the draft, and he can be a Mason Rudolph on a team for, a backup for 5 to 7 years or whatever. I don't see an NFL guy there. Tyler Van Dyke, I think, has a lot of stuff to work on. The one game I was watching, he had a huge stat line. He had this one touchdown where he completely just does not read the underneath coverage at all. And he throws it, and the linebacker just lets it hit off his head, and it pops straight up in the air, and a dude goes up and catches it for a touchdown. Like he had that kind of stuff happen a lot last year. But I still would rather he's the mystery box versus the boat that is Phil Dracovic, but that boat's not very nice. So I'll take the mystery box and hope that it's a nicer boat than Phil Dracovic.
Shout out to Delaney Lackey, who has signed up for campus2canton.com. That is what I'm talking about. Austin, you did not answer the question. Is there a better quarterback in the ACC than Tyler Van Dyke?
Oh, Cade Klubnik.
All right, you heard
Cade
it here.
Klubnik.
All right, we got one. We got Amarian. We got George Pettaway over Amarian Hampton, and we've got Cade Klubnik over Tyler Van Dyke.
Do I have to rationalize the fact that if I had to rank them today, though, I would probably rank Tyler Van Dyke higher?
No.
I don't have to rationalize that? Okay.
Austin,
we're
Austin
good.
hedging as much as he can.
Don't try to hedge. Chris Moxley, is Zay Flowers a day 2 NFL draft pick?
I think he's a round 3 guy. Heading into the year, I think he could have gone round 2. Whenever a guy doesn't declare it and heads back to a Power 5 conference as a senior, it really throws up red flags because to me, it's the NFL.
Chris Olave.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. We're not really that interested in you. And I do think Flowers is good enough to get drafted round 3 because I think he'll have a good year, really good year this year. And he had 2 really strong years to start off, but I don't think he's going round 2. I'd be surprised if he went round. I guess I'd be surprised if he went day 3 though. I think he's good enough. And I don't think that I don't want to get off a different topic here, but I think the 2023 wide receiver class is a lot weaker than people are giving it credit for. And so I think he could settle in somewhere in the top 10, and that's going to be a day 2 pick.
Day 2, Austin?
I don't think I would take him day 2 personally. I think like Dracovic, he has a lot of holes in his game. I think he's an inconsistent separator. I don't know that he can, win on the boundary all the time. I don't think he's a dynamic enough player to play in the slot. I don't know that he's great enough with the ball in his hands. He's flashed it a couple times, but again, not consistently. I just don't look at him and think that he does anything particularly well. He's basically dollar general brand, Chris Olave, that kind of player. I just think he's significantly worse at everything. Smooth kid, but I mean, he's not a guy that I'd be happy if my team took on day 2 at all. And I won't take him. I mean, without knowing how the class looks, probably before the 208, the 209. Is he better than De'Ami Brown? I don't think he is, and De'Ami Brown's a guy that struggled in the NFL. I think they have some of the similar issues. Like, they just aren't very physical players. I don't know if they can overcome that.
I want the record to reflect that Austin Nace said he's like Chris Olave. He's not particularly good at anything. And Matt Bruning shook his head in agreement there. So Matt Bruning, noted Ohio State hater.
Never propped up Chris Olave. Like, I don't understand why.
All right. Let's move on here to true or false, Chris Moxley. Will Shipley, is he the only fantasy relevant Clemson Tiger in 2022?
Like CFF relevant?
I mean, we're also trying to develop players for our NFL teams. And so do you think that, are you telling me you're going to pick Cade Klubnik to be a potential day 1, day 2 NFL draft pick this early?
Cade Klubnik's the only Clemson Tiger I'm really interested in owning. I like Collins a little bit too, but I mean, I'm not going out of my way really to roster anybody. Like, it has to be a value to get anybody outside of Shipley and Klubnik, who I've had the same come to Jesus moment that Austin has on Klubnik. Like, I was really worried about his arm strength, and like, he's got deep touch that's like really impressive. And so I think Klubnik's the only other guy. I don't know if Klubnik's going to take the job and be fantasy relevant enough, like for your CFF leagues, but Will Shipley will be. I think Will Shipley is going to have a good year.
Matt Bruning, is there anybody on Clemson's team that you want to roster outside of Will Shipley, whether it be Cade Klubnik or Bo Collins or Dakari Collins? Is there anybody that you want to roster and unmute? Go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know.
Yeah, I'll go with Bo Collins. I don't. DJU's not going to bounce back completely, but I do think getting rid of Tony Elliott is a positive. I actually think that the Clemson offense might bounce back a little bit. I think he could be the benefactor of that. So I'd still be fine with him. I don't know what his ADP is at the moment. I haven't really looked at any of our ADP data of late, but it would be those three. It would be him, Klubnik, and Shipley would be the only three I'd want to roster.
Austin, I think that this is the most fun question tonight, because if the answer to this question is yes, that means college football is fun. And that question is over under 500 yards rushing for Tyler Buchner in 2022.
I was just trying to pull up the list of players that hit that this year, but I couldn't do it, with like a 30-second runway. No, I don't think he hits 500 yards. Like, taking out the sacks, I'm assuming you're meaning, or you mean like including sacks, he goes over 500?
I mean, either way, I think what we're saying is, like, is this player going to be either starting or in an Anthony Richardson type role where they're playing a lot and being utilized a lot in the rushing game?
Yeah, I'm going to say no, he doesn't hit it. He'll get 350 to 400. I think they're trying to get him to run less, if last year was any indication. So I just don't think he quite does, gets the rush volume. I think they're in his ear, like Ryan Day saying, please do not run, if I had to guess.
I mean, the last time this guy played high school football, I think he ran for over 1,600 yards, and you see him like just taking off and kids not being able to. I mean, this is a very athletic player. Is it hyperbole to say that he could potentially be a 1,000-yard rusher at some point in his collegiate career?
Yes. 1,000 yards is really hard.
To answer your question, Austin, 30 quarterbacks did it last year, not counting sacks. 30 quarterbacks rushed for over 500 yards.
Okay.
21 without sacks.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it without sacks right now, without not counting sacks.
Sorry, 20 with sack yardage.
With sacks. Gotcha. Yeah. 30 of them. The lowest breaking the 500 mark was Will Levis. He crossed, where'd it go? 516 yards. Max Dugan missed it by 3. Technically, the next two below him barely missed. Max Dugan.
Then maybe I'll change my answer. Maybe I'll change my answer then with that information. If it's that easy to do.
Well, I mean, Matt and Chris, you looked at the stats. Are you taking over under 500 yards for Tyler Buchner?
Yeah, man, I was taking the over before I looked at that, and yes, I do think he's going to be the starter. I know Austin has brought up some interesting points about what could happen with the quarterback position. I don't know that he's going to be wrong on that, but I don't think Notre Dame's as bad. If they open up the offense, or Austin mentioned that the offense has actually been fairly good, I think if Buchner gets that starting spot, that he's going to run sometimes even without designed runs, like we saw a la Will Levis do, who did get over 500 yards. So I do think there's a shot that he gets it, because they do have a good offensive line as well.
Yeah, I think he could do it. He was really successful running this year. Like in limited snaps, like he really showed off some wheels of mobility that I thought was really impressive. I love Tyler Buchner. I'm really excited for him. And looking at the guys who crested 500 yards, like Will Levis is a good example. Adrian Martinez, like I think he has that kind of mobility with a much better offensive line.
Chase Garbers did it. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's the one that I saw on the list. I was like, yeah, no, he can do that. That's easy.
This list is very, like, Spencer Sanders is way up there with over 600 rushing yards. Like, there's a lot of very weird quarterbacks on this list that broke that mark.
I don't want to ostracize the audience, because I know that there are some people who don't follow college football that closely, and Tyler Buchner did not play as much as he didn't play very much for Notre Dame last year. But we're talking about the type of athleticism like Anthony Richardson, or like Kyler Murray, or like, Adrian Martinez feels like a pejorative in some respects, but no, he has that type of athleticism. And when we get these running quarterbacks out here, it's very fun to watch them. And if they're starters, they are very valuable. Caleb Williams, they're very valuable for fantasy football. So, but if you're just starting C2Cs, Tyler Buchner is going to be somebody who's probably drafted in the first, eight rounds or so, definitely first eight, probably the first 5 rounds or so of your drafts, because people out there are really high on them. Austin, and you've studied this Notre Dame backfield. Who is there are a lot of guys in this Notre Dame backfield after Kyron Williams leaves. There's Audric Estime, there's Styles, there's a freshman coming in this year. Who is the back to own to roster in that Notre Dame backfield?
The 2 guys there not named Audric Estime. Estime is not very good. I barely think I don't even think he's a P5 quality running back. He looks like he ate all the other running backs, but that's like all he's got going for him. I think it's going to be a pretty decent split. Actually, I just was doing a write-up on Logan Diggs, and I was getting pretty high on Logan Diggs. Then I watched that bowl game, and I know it was Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State made a lot of teams look really, really bad rushing the football this year, but he really struggled. They were kind of making him think about things behind the line of scrimmage, and he was not processing very quickly, and was, the feet were not moving, and he was pretty poor. And Chris Tyree really outperformed him, not on the ground, but it's because he caught 9 passes for 150 yards. And that's kind of the problem there, is that Tyree is always going to eat into that production because of how dynamic he is, especially in space. So I think it's going to be close to a 50-50 split. I actually want both of them. But earlier when I was thinking about this, I thought, Logan Diggs is a 60%-ish type, carries guy. And I'm not quite sure that's going to be the case, actually. I think the staff wants to get them both involved.
I want to thank everybody who checked into the live show today. I mean, we had a great audience today. The Undroppables are here. I'm pretty sure that's Kyle. Luke, always here. Delaney, nice to see you. More people in the live show. But congratulations to you, men and women, who were in the chat today. We really appreciate you. Check out all of the content around the Campus to Canton family. The YouTube page, the Discord. Get in the Discord. Of course, the podcast, Campus Life Canton Bound. We go all year round, including Devy Debate. We've got more stuff coming for you. Listen, Campus to Canton, the website, it's growing. It's becoming a thing. We're getting noticed. You want to be a part of it in 2022. Trust me. But that's going to be our show for tonight. Apologies to Kirk Herbstreit. We ran out of time. We will get him rescheduled soon. For Matt Bruning, for Austin Noice, for Chris Moxley, I'm Felix Sharp. Good night and good luck. J Mike dropping in. I love it, man. We had a lot of people in today, and it's January. I love it. So what did you hear when it was just my phone?
You sounded
Yep.
normal, just like you were
Yeah.
talking through your
You were
phone
fine.
microphone. Like it was, not as high quality audio. Yeah.
Oh,
And
y'all
then I
missed,
heard
y'all missed opportunity to really stress him out there. I was gonna say you sounded like Manimal from the Muppets.
you all stressed me out because I didn't hear anybody respond. When I threw it to Austin, all I heard was Austin laugh, and I heard womp 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 womp.
That's what I heard too, actually.
Well, Austin laughed because you were like, "Wait, what?" And then like all of us kind of paused because we thought you were gonna like say like dropping like breaking news or something. So we all kind of stopped.
Yeah,
And
you
then
had a
we
look
kinda
on your
like-
face.
And we're like, "Oh, okay."
I need to go back and see what happened. Well, so for those who are listening to the after show, and we do release this now, I got onto the show at like 9:25. We go live at 9:30. My computer decided to restart to include like a software update, and it said that it was going to take 26 minutes. So I had to get onto the show from my phone, and I didn't have the show sheet in front of me. Didn't really remember what the intro was. And anyway, my audio dropped immediately after I did the intro, but I think the intro, you guys heard the intro. I don't know what you guys heard because I couldn't hear anything that you all were saying. So, and then my computer restarted and I was able to get on.
Yeah, I faked like I couldn't hear you to fuck with you, and then it just went the opposite direction. So,
And you can hear us.
yeah.
I was gonna say it was less Manimal, maybe more Beaker. Me.
I love the Muppets so much.
Oh man, the Muppets Christmas album, that slaps.
Yeah. Beaker comes in hot. Yeah.
The me, yeah.
Yeah.
He's like whatever number of maids are milking, I think. Me. I think. Anyway.
The best Christmas album is Motown.
Snoopy.
Motown Christmas album.
No.
We actually, have that on vinyl downstairs playing at Christmas.
You guys call me
It's
bougie.
awesome.
Oh, I got like 1 million records downstairs. I
don't have
I
that.
actually enjoy that I have gotten overlooked for how bougie I am, that in favor of Austin, because I do some incredibly bougie stuff. And I'm just glad Austin takes the brunt of it.
Like grow your own vegetables because store bought vegetables just aren't
They
up to
just
your
don't taste
standards.
They don't taste the same because they've been sitting on a truck since they were green, and so they don't ripen on the vine. So, yes, I will. I'm gonna let Austin keep the mantle so that I don't have to explain myself.
Can we address my question? The question that I posed on Twitter,
Which
is
was
do you
what?
eat snacks as you are walking through the grocery store?
That's
Fuck
pre-crime.
no. Fuck no.
That's pre.
I also don't have kids, so to be fair, I can't comment on the people that were like, yeah, my kids grab shit and open it. But like myself, no.
You go to some grocery stores and they actually have fruit available for kids to eat, like in the store.
You ever see?
Well, technically, it's all fruit available to eat if they want it bad enough. But I designate it as. Yeah.
Have you seen Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Okay. There's the episode with the Venezuelan delegation comes in, and he's like, "There. Anytime you do weird shit, it's like, all right, right to jail, straight away." That's exactly what I thought when I saw that tweet. I was like, my first thought was that's pre-crime. Like that's how we identify menaces to society by what
A homicidal triad. Yeah, it's one of those.
What do you put on your popcorn? And then and then what are you snacking on stuff in the grocery store as you open? Do you put your cart back at the grocery store?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, we were getting into some dangerous territory.
I had a case. Can I tell this story? I think I tell this story. I had a case where a person was injured by a shopping cart. And what happened was the shopping cart was left like somebody didn't put it back in the cart corral. That's what they're called. And it was a very windy day. And you see this cart going through the parking lot. And it's almost like it chased this woman. Like it chased this woman down as she was getting into the car. And just like, bam.
I think that's a Stephen King novel.
I mean, and this was caught on video. One of the best surveillance videos I've ever seen. Could not stop laughing.
Were you representing her, or were you?
No, I didn't represent people. I'm sorry.
You represented the cart. Come on, man.
I didn't represent the cart. I represented the company that owned the cart. But it was like the cart. It was like the cart had a life of its own, and it was like, I'm going to chase this woman.
Is that what you argued? That's why it wasn't the company's fault?
No, that case probably settled. I don't remember.
The cart. You imagine putting the cart on the stand. Jeez.
Felix really tore that cart a new one in that deposition.
No, I've represented the cart.
So did you take the insanity plea?
Well, so we're all getting a kick out of this. Felix is like, I represented the company.
We need to get Adam on. Adam represents plaintiffs. I did not realize that when I first started talking to Adam. Adam was a plaintiff's attorney.
I interned as a plaintiff's attorney for one semester just to get, like, I knew I did not want to do any sort of litigating, but I at least wanted to get the experience just to be in a different atmosphere. Because I did like in-house one summer, and then I did like a tax clinic. Like I did a bunch of different stuff, but I just wanted like that experience as well. So, yeah.
We asked, can you tell the difference between Austin's good cop and bad cop? And it had 17 votes, and 88% is no. No, we cannot tell the difference between. And Colin added lukewarm cop, which is, I think, the joke that Luke added here last week. Lukewarm cop. Just lean into it. Whatever your personality. We've created Austin, this character, who's this highfalutin.
It is nothing like
jumping into vaults of coins like Scrooge McDuck. We've created this character for Austin, which is just great. It's great. Just lean into it.
Kelsey's always like, have they met your law school friends? I'm like, no, I don't think they have.
Oh man. Matt Bruning had energy today. He's always complaining. He's always, I'm the Cal Ripken of podcasting, and then he's like, I'm tired, I have to go to bed. Look, and then he jumps out of the chair.
I was sneezing. I assumed you guys didn't want to see that. So,
how you doing tonight, Cal?
I'm all right. I'm working.
Do you guys like the movie Moneyball? Can we have this discussion here?
I do actually. I listened to the podcast of you and Colin shitting all over that.
I hear people talk about it like it's like this most glorious movie, like just like the epitome of cinema, and I'm just like,
what's the other one? What was the other one you guys shit all over? And
Colin said Draft Day, but I didn't really shit. Like that's not supposed to be a good movie.
Yeah, it's not. No, I did laugh at he got the dude's name wrong. It's not Khalil Mack. That's an actual person. But yeah, it's whatever Mack. Regardless, number one, something like that. But yeah. No, I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's like one of the best sports movies of all time, but I enjoy it. I think it's a good movie. But I'm also like a massive baseball fan, so like I remember when Oakland went on that win streak because Cleveland actually just went by and did it. But it's Jonah. But it has Jonah Hill. What's wrong with Jonah Hill? He's a decent actor.
No, I think that's what he's saying.
Oh,
like he likes Jonah Hill, and that's why you should like the movie. I do like Jonah Hill. I do like Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good movie. It's not like I don't think it's like the best thing ever, but if it's on, I'll watch it every once in a while. Like I like it.
It's literally so Brad Pitt in that movie. It feels like he's literally just playing himself. Like does not feel like there's like there that
he is
between like person and character. Like it's just
what's his name? Moxley. You'll know his name more than the other two people above us will, and I can't remember what the hell his name is now.
Billy Bean.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about Moneyball.
They're talking about Moneyball.
I used to be a huge baseball guy. Huge
I didn't
fantasy
know.
baseball guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From every interview and everything I've ever seen Billy Bean do, he is nothing like the character that Brad Pitt plays. So yes,
No,
I
he's
agree with you
not.
there, but it's still a really I still think it's an entertaining movie. Like I'm not gonna I'll, if it's on and I'm working and I just want some background noise, like I'll put it on. Like I don't look it out to when I'm on my TV. Oh, I wonder if Moneyball is on, so I can watch it. Like it's just I don't know. I think it's an okay movie. It's good. It's not like horrible, but it's not great.
It's fine.
I have no interest in watching like true stories. It just doesn't interest me.
Reality is already depressing enough.
No, it's just like I know what happened there already. So,
Did you watch the Titanic?
no, I haven't seen Titanic.
What?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Titanic. I haven't seen the Jackie Robinson story. I haven't seen any of these like
With
I
Chadwick
wouldn't-
Boseman,
Pearl.
that's actually pretty good.
I wouldn't really
It is
call
Chadwick Boseman.
I wouldn't really call the Titanic a documentary
true
per
story.
se.
Yeah, documentary.
I heard it's got actual footage.
But it is based on true events.
It is based on true events. That is true.
And the other thing about Moneyball, it's written by Aaron Sorkin. Not to circle back to that, and I freaking
Who's
love Aaron Sorkin.
Yes, he is.
And this
phenomenal,
movie is like nothing like what he usually writes at all. Like people are like, "It's Aaron Sorkin's greatest work." I'm like, it's literally the exact opposite of everything he's ever written.
Well,
It's
Aaron
not
Sorkin
quirky
normally writes
and-
political. Isn't he a political writer? Like a political drama?
Generally.
Yeah,
It's like
West
not the
Wing.
West. Is the West Wing? Yeah, West Wing.
Yeah, West Wing.
is one of it.
What's that news one that he does too? It's got the guy from Dumb and Dumber. in it.
The
Newsroom?
newsroom.
Yeah,
Newsroom.
it's
Jeff?
great.
Phenomenal. Yeah, I
I
love
Detroit
prefer that to
stand-up.
West Wing.
yeah,
Jeff, what's his name?
Daniels. Jeff Daniels.
He's from.
Yeah, it's got
Jeff,
Olivia Munn. Who else is in it? There's someone else really famous in there too.
Jeff Daniels from I think the Farmington Hills area. I remember he was at one of my little league game. Not a little, like I had a little league like a middle school, like a travel league game. I think we were playing like a team of his sons or something like that, and he was sitting in the stands. I had no idea
Yeah, I
who
mean,
it was.
I would say The Social Network is better than Moneyball. Like you want to say his best work, I would put Social Network way
So
above.
I don't
Moneyball.
love
You
the
don't like
Social Network as a movie either. Like it's fine. I watched it once. I don't really have that much interest
think
in
it's
watching it again. And I like
Did
the
y'all-
cast in that too.
Did y'all watch the Chicago 7?
I have not seen the Chicago 7.
It was really good. I really
Is it?
enjoyed it. I'll basically watch anything with Sacha Baron Cohen in it though. Like
Very
I'll-
nice.
very
My
nice. He obviously he's in Les Mis. But I watched not Borat, The Dictator recently.
She's in The Dictator?
He is the dictator.
Wait, Sacha Baron Cohen is the dictator. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking? Are you
Like
joking?
the one
Sacha Baron
the,
Cohen
the
vehicle.
one with Seth Rogen in them?
No,
that
No,
the
you're
Dictator?
That's not called the dictator.
Yeah,
That's
no,
no,
you're
called
thinking
something
about
else.
you're talking about with James
That's the-
Franco,
Oh,
right?
that's
yeah.
the movie that
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
that,
no,
that
no,
the
no.
U.S. wouldn't release or something like the Sony break it. Yeah,
No,
I can't remember what that movie was called.
Neither can I. No, North Korea wouldn't allow people to watch it because it's making
Oh, the
fun
interview.
of-
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Interview.
I guess I've never seen The
Um,
Dictator then.
Oom
No,
or
but there was
whatever.
some. Like, there was something preventing that movie from being released in the United States. At least
The
at
Interview?
first, if I remember correctly.
No, it was the other way
Yes,
around.
there was some controversy about its release. So it might have been a part of the Sony
Same,
hack, the
but
Sony
different.
hack,
I don't know.
whatever.
I think the movie's funny. I actually kind of like that one.
Matt
Yeah,
Burning,
no.
do you
I know what
eat
you're talking about. You're right.
snacks as you're walking through the grocery store?
No, I do not. That's disgusting.
Are you appalled? Are you really?
Yes. Like if I see someone eating, like if someone just walks by and grabs a little thing of Chips Ahoy and then just opens them up and start eating them, like, what are we in a zoo all of a sudden? Like, what the hell? Where is society going? Like, no. Like, I will stop and get like I will open a drink, like you get the little drinks out of the coolers and like I'll do that, but I'm not gonna. But that's what they're there
That's
for.
okay.
You're not buying the drink
That's
to
okay.
leave with it.
Yes, you
I
are.
only do that. I do not
No,
consume
I-
any
I-
grocery food in the grocery store. That is ridiculous.
Will you open the toilet paper and use that in the store, Matt? Like, what are we doing
Depends
here?
on what kind of
What are
day
we
I'm
doing here?
having, my friend. I mean,
You know they got that
sometimes
cheap
you gotta
toilet
wipe.
paper on the roll. You got to grab that Charmin and
It's
bring it
single
into
ply
the
in the
bathroom with
bathroom.
you.
Yeah, just go
Well,
open up.
that's why I don't want to go to the bathroom in single ply. I'm going to go to the aisle. Yeah, I mean, it